Well, it looks like we're getting Moon Knight and Spider-Man Marvel Legends action figures released on the Marvel Superheroes Retro card. But are these re-releases any good, Soulmates, and are they worth your time? Be sure you stick around until the end, Soulmates, because we're going to talk about what popular Marvel Legends we'd like to see released next on this retro card. If you remember the Marvel Legends Moon Knight Walgreens exclusive, you'll remember that this one was very difficult to obtain because it was out at a time when Walgreens didn't really have their distribution of their Marvel Legends exclusives sorted out. So unfortunately this one came and went, and a lot of people never got an opportunity to get this Moon Knight, which is too bad because this is one that myself and a lot of other people would have liked to have had, especially given the recent popularity of Moon Knight after the Disney Plus TV series. Granted, for the releases that came out right after this Moon Knight action figure, they sorted out all the issues they had with distribution and everyone was able to get all the Walgreens exclusives that they could. But of course, a fat lot of good that does for all the people out there who want Moon Knight. On the other hand, Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man is one of the most popular Spider-Man action figures to come out from Marvel Legends in recent memory, and this one was very widely available, and pretty much everyone who could get him and wanted to get him was able to get him. This release is regarded by a lot of people as the ultimate Spider-Man action figure, and of course, whether it's not depends on your point of view. Personally, I did not find that to be the case because there were just a few too many things that I didn't really like about this Spider-Man release. Namely, I didn't care for the over-bloated price tag or the cheesy web wings, and I didn't care for what I considered to be the lack of resemblance to Steve Ditko Spider-Man from Amazing Fantasy 15. It's also worth noting that while Moon Knight was a Walgreens exclusive, Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man was a general release, which means it was available absolutely everywhere. Well, now these two action figures are being re-released on the Marvel Superhero Retro card, and the thing about that is that these are only going to be available at Target, so they're Target exclusives. If you don't know what it means for these two action figures to be released on the Marvel Superheroes Retro card, essentially it just means that they're being released on a card that's similar to the old Toy Biz one from the early 90s. Hasbro uses this retro card to release repaints or re-releases entirely of popular action figures. Of course, one of the biggest positives about these action figures being released on the Marvel Superheroes Retro card is that they come in a windowed package, and Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man did not come in a windowed package. He came in the plastic-free box, which means it was a closed box. And now, for all the mint-on-card collectors, they can now proudly display both Moon Knight if they want him, as well as this Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man. But how are these action figures? Well, let's take a look. Moon Knight is a pretty cool release overall, I think. Moon Knight is based on the Sunfire body, but he has a few things that are a little bit different. Namely, if you look at his gauntlets and at his calves, you'll see that the parts of those boots, as well as his gauntlets, have that ridged texture about them that Moon Knight features on all of his costuming. And that's of course very, very cool. And besides that, he also comes with a lot of accessories. I think that the accessories included with Moon Knight are absolutely the biggest selling point about this action figure, because he comes with 2 large crescents as well as 3 smaller crescents. He comes with a long staff, he comes with a set of extra hands, and he comes with an extra head that features a black mask instead of the white mask that comes standard on him. And one of the really interesting things about this one is that if you look at one of his closed fists, you'll see that in between his fingers on one hand, there are 3 notches where he can hold those crescents in between those and make it look like he's about to throw them. That is a really nice touch. And despite this being yet another Sunfire body release, I think that it's definitely worth checking out because there's a lot of cool stuff included with the package. There's a few accents here and there to personalize the action figure, and overall I think that this looks a great deal like the Moon Knight that we know and love. So any Moon Knight fans out there might want to stop and take a look at this one. The accessories are definitely bringing it home, but overall I think it's a really decent release that's worth the standard price that's being asked. This one is going for $24.99 at Target, and for that price I say, yeah, standard price, I would take a look at it then. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. And if you enjoy the video, please click the like button because these videos are tough to put together and I really appreciate it, guys. As for the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man action figure, obviously the major change here is that he's on a windowed card this time, and anyone who did not get this one because it was in a windowless package the first time around is almost definitely going to want this one. Now be aware that when you're getting this one, it is going to be a more expensive action figure than Moon Knight is. This one is going to be $27.99, which is actually a little bit more expensive than he was the first time around. The first time around for Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man, he was $26.99, so they're asking just a little bit more for this one this time around when there really isn't a lot of justification for it, especially when he only has a couple of accessories more than Moon Knight does, and he doesn't fill out a deluxe package. This is not a deluxe release, this is a standard action figure on a standard card. The justification to charge a few bucks more for Spider-Man is just a clear Spider-Man tax at that point. With Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, you're getting a web line, you're getting 2 sets of web wings, and you're getting 3 sets of hands, which is pretty cool to get, no doubt. There's quite a few accessories there, all things considered. But does that make him worth $3 more than Moon Knight? Absolutely not. That's crazy to think that he costs that much more than this Moon Knight action figure does. Something else that's very notable about this Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man action figure is that this time around they did change one thing on him. One criticism that was very much true about the Amazing Fantasy 15 release that we saw last year was that Spider-Man did not have a blue spider on his back, like Spider-Man does in Amazing Fantasy 15. It was red on his back, much like every other depiction of Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man. In fact, the only depiction of Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man in toys to have that blue spider on his back was the Marvel Legends Retro Series 3 3/4 inch action figure that was released, and that had a blue spider on its back. But now this one is the second one, and it has the right color spider on there now. It's blue as it should be. Whether or not it's a good design decision, well, I don't know about that because obviously it doesn't look super great, but it is accurate to the source material, which is definitely what counts, and it is supposed to be an Amazing Fantasy 15 action figure, so that's obviously really nice. Obviously, the previous Spider-Man release was really popular, so I think that anyone who wants another Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man is absolutely going to go for this one, regardless of the price tag. And if you passed on him the first time around for whatever reason, maybe because of the windowless packaging, maybe because of the lack of a blue spider on his back, well, maybe now's the time for you to pick up this Spider-Man. And once you do, I think that you will enjoy him and have a lot of fun with him. He's not a bad Spider-Man action figure, although personally I don't think he's the perfect Spider-Man action figure. And besides that, I also wouldn't expect too much from the web wings. They're really not that great. I think that most of the enjoyment, most of the pleasure that people are finding in this release is from The articulation that you get with him, because he is very, very well articulated, although he doesn't have toe articulation like the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man does. But he does have everything else that you would need, and this body that we're getting is a much shorter Spider-Man than the usual Spider-Man body that we see, which might be another reason that he's so popular. It does make this Spider-Man feel a lot more like an average person, although I think he may be a little too undersized. Just a tad bit taller, and I think that this would in fact be the perfect Spider-Man body. Is Spider-Man worth the $28 price tag? I guess that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to decide. Now, obviously, I don't think that he's worth that kind of price tag. I would wait for this one to go on sale, because that's just asking too much for what it is, especially when you look at Moon Knight and he's $3 less. This one is an okay action figure, I think, and I would have him in my Marvel Legends collection if I were collecting Marvel Legends. So at the very least, I would say if you're interested in Spider-Man and Marvel Legends, this one is definitely worth taking a look at and deciding how you feel about him. Well, Soulmates, now that we've seen these Moon Knight and Spider-Man retro card releases, what other popular Marvel Legends releases would we like to see on the retro card next? Personally, I think that re-releasing the Omega Red Venom action figure that we saw from the Spider-Man the Animated Series Retro line would be nice to see. It was an incredibly popular action figure that was only available on Hasbro Pulse, so seeing a general release of it would be very nice, I think. Well, Soulmates, what do you think of this Moon Knight and Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man re-release? Are these ones that you have to have for your collection? Do you already have them in your collection? Or do you just want more of them for some reason? I don't know, guys. Be sure you let me know down in the comments, because I would love to hear from you. And also, be sure you let me know what popular Marvel Legends you'd like to see re-released next. If you'd like to learn more about the new X-Men 97 wave of Marvel Legends action figures that's been revealed at SDCC, you can check out that video here, Soulmates.